Nerdrotic.com.
James Bond No Time to Die wrapped filming on October 26th, 2019, which was very close to its original release date of November 2019. Eventually, it was supposed to be released in April of 2020, then November of 2020, then April of 2021, then November of 2021, before finally settling on a release date here in the States of October 8th. 2021, and that date does seem to be approaching. Many have speculated, including yours truly, that James Bond's No Time to Die, which I lovingly call No Time to Me Too, is just going to be a deconstruction of yet another traditional male character. And what leads me to believe this? Well, everything the director, the producer, the star, and the co-stars have said. They have made it clear this is going to be a James Bond for the Me Too Time's Up era. A James Bond that absolutely no one asked for. Now, there's two interviews we're going to be going over here. One is originally from The Hollywood Reporter. No Time to Lose. Hollywood pins its hopes on Bond director Cary Fukunaga, and the hopes are not looking too good right now. And then, of course, we have Lashana Lynch. Lashana Lynch, the first female 007. I never had a plan B. Well, you might want to get one now. No Time to Die director Cary Fukunaga admits film is woke while attempting to deny it. And I'm going to give you a fourth headline just because it gets straight to the point. From Bleeding Fool, No Time to Die director says James Bond was a drapist. Brilliant way to sell your film that needs to make $900 million. The director of the upcoming James Bond film No Time to Die, Cary Fukunaga, recently admitted the movie is woke while trying to deny rumors that writer Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought in to wokeify the film. Now, when John F. Trent here, the man who wrote the article, says things like wokeify or woke, it's meant in a general term. What he's really trying to say is we will be getting an intersectional feminist James Bond film. Fukunaga discusses how he is modernizing James Bond for a post-#MeToo reality, according to The Hollywood Reporter's Tatiana Siegel. First, the director accuses James Bond of drape, and yes, I have to use YouTube language here, in past films. He states, is it Thunderball or is it Goldfinger, where like basically Sean Connery's character drapes a woman? And he adds, she's like, no, no, no. And he's like, yes, yes, yes. That wouldn't fly today. Well, that's a disingenuous example because they have modernized James Bond since then. That film was made in the 60s and it was of its time and no one is asking for that. But Hollywood has gone to the other extreme by completely desexualizing everything, including anything that is what they call heteronormative. By the way, the scene he was talking about, I do believe, was from Goldfinger, and it featured a character named Pussy Galore in a franchise with a film titled Octopussy. If you think for 1 second that the casting couch has gone away in the post-Me Too Time's Up era, well, I've got a woke James Bond film to sell you. After calling Bond a drapist, Fukunaga then attempted to refute the idea that Phoebe Waller-Bridge was brought onto the film to make Bond more woke. He said, I think that's the expectation, a female writing very strong female roles, but that's something Barbara wanted already. From my very first conversations with Broccoli, that was a very strong drive. So they brought Phoebe Waller-Bridge in to write stuff like this.
So stay in your lane.
You can't change Bond overnight into a different person. You can definitely change the world around him and the way he has to function in that world, he continued. The director then concluded, it's a story about a white man as a spy in this world.
Oh, come on!
Listen to how they talk. They talk about wanting to be grounded and being able to connect with the audience when nobody on planet Earth outside of Hollywood talks like this. Okay, maybe Twitter too. But you have to be willing to lean in and do the work to make the female characters more than just contrivances. Way to disrespect all previous female Bond characters. This is what Lashana Lynch has to say about bringing on Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Lynch worked closely on the character with Phoebe Waller-Bridge, the creator of Fleabag, who was brought on by Craig to punch up the script. When I told Phoebe who I wanted Nomi to be, it wasn't a conversation, says Lynch. She just said, that's exactly what I thought. Fab. Okay, let's do it. That's about how much work they put into these things mostly. Lynch and Waller-Bridge both pushed for extra depth in the Nomi character in the James Bond movie, that she might have struggled with her weight in the past or be having problems with a boyfriend. That's how they wrote it. Or be on her period.
What? What the fuck?
Or be on her period.
What did you say?
I understand people want to play characters with more depth, but I tell you exactly what no one wants to see in a James Bond movie: a character talking about her period. I don't think a woman wants to see that. I don't think a dude wants to see that. And I know I'm going to get in the comment section, I want to hear it. Well, yeah, you're one of the 10 people. As Jay Longbone eloquently puts it on Twitter, nothing says female depth like menstruation. How much of it makes it in the film? Lynch isn't saying. I thought there might be a scene where she's coming out of the toilet and you see her throw her tampon in the bin.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
This is why normally they hire professional writers and they don't let the adult pretenders make the words for themselves, because they come up with ideas like this. Unfortunately, I'm sure Phoebe Waller-Bridge completely agrees with her, but I'll ask you ladies out there in the audience, would you rather see Lashana Lynch toss a tampon into the bin in the James Bond film, or would you rather see Daniel Craig without his shirt on? We don't need to make a meal out of it, but we're in the ladies' room. You're going to see somebody pick their nose or pull out a wedgie. Bottom line, the woman is going to be relatable. I can just see the Watch Mojo video on that. The top 10 James Bond moments. Number 10, the submarine car from Spy Who Loved Me. Number 9, impromptu skydiving from Moonraker. Number 8, the tampon scene from No Time to Die. Maybe in the next film, we'll get to see James Bond get a colonoscopy. It has been reported that the budget for No Time to Die is either $250 million or $300 million, not counting all the interest that's been racked up because it's been on the shelf for 2 years. And according to MovieWeb, No Time to Die needs to earn $900 million to break even as the most expensive James Bond movie ever. A new report claims that due to the growing costs of No Time to Die, the movie now requires a box office return of almost $1 billion. Yes, Skyfall made $1 billion and Spectre made $888 million, but this is $900 million to break even. This might explain why they tried to sell Bond. It makes you wonder why they're going ahead with the fake woke marketing, which worked out so well for X-Men Dark Phoenix, Terminator Dark Fate, Charlie's Angels, and Birds of Prey. Well, you want to know why? At least Cary Fukunaga really believes that this empowers women. It was really important to empower the female characters as standalones by having them pick their nose and pull out their wedgies and throw away their tampons.
Down with the patriarchy.
Feels like I've been talking about this movie forever, because I have. The first video I made was back in 2019 during Comic-Con, when we had Comic-Cons, and I was talking about the fake woke marketing then. There was a big push to have a female James Bond, and of course, Lashana Lynch is going to be the first black female 007, but definitely not the first black female in this franchise. And of course, it has to be historic, but it seems like they might be dialing that back just a little bit. While Daniel Craig did come out and say that Bond should be played by a man because he's a man. Speaking with Radio Times, as reported by The Independent, Craig stated there should simply be better parts for women and actors of color. He even questioned, why should a woman play James Bond when there should be a part just as good as James Bond, but for women? Now that completely contradicts what Daniel Craig just said a couple of short years ago, and Lashana Lynch repeated recently that a female could play James Bond. No, James Bond is a male, and I agree with Daniel Craig in his last statement. Create more characters. They can be just as good or better than James Bond, and all that would give you is more stories, more toys to play with, and you can do that with other franchises like Doctor Who. Instead of retconning the Doctor and saying you're doing it to create more stories, I would say creating more original characters would create more stories. But the reason they don't do that is very simple.
Down with the patriarchy.
Sure, they could have created brand new characters within a universe, but that would have taken time, money, and commitment, something that the entertainment industry really wasn't willing to put in because they really don't believe in your cause. It was much easier to take something away and be controversial to get those easy headlines. then blame the audience that they take for granted and expect to show up anyway. Says Bond producer Barbara Broccoli, I think people are coming around, with some kicking and screaming, to accepting that stuff is no longer acceptable.
Sheer fucking hubris.
Now, in this article, she's conflating all of that with Bond from the 50s and 60s, but we know what she's really talking about because Bond has been modernized and some would argue has already been deconstructed. The one thing that is not acceptable right now in Hollywood is being male and being on the other side of the aisle. The political bigotry has never been worse than it is right now. I absolutely agree with Lashana Lynch on this. Who should it be? We are in a place in time where the industry is not just giving the audiences what it thinks the audience wants. Lynch continues, they're actually giving the audience what they want to give the audience. And after seeing character after character deconstructed and franchise after franchise destroyed, we got
The message.
When you see Hollywood throwing around words like relevant, relatable, accessible, modernize, or making things for a giant global audience, those are giant red flags when they should be using words like quality, timeless, legacy, fun, especially when it comes to iconic characters that they have systematically gone through one by one and deconstructed. I hope this movie is good, and while I completely disagree with Cary Fukunaga, I do not believe James Bond is a Dreyfus, and I think he's being idiotic and disingenuous. I think the guy is a talented director. True Detective is a work of genius, and I did like the last trailer, and maybe, just maybe, they're just blowing smoke up the Access Media's ass, and this is all fake woke marketing, which is going to do nothing but damage, seeing that they need to make $900 million to break even. And during the coup, I don't think that's going to happen because it's going to be up against something Shang-Chi wasn't, competition. Unsolicited advice, Hollywood. If you hire someone to write for one of your iconic franchises like James Bond and the first words out of their mouth are, it needs to be radically modernized for a larger global audience, they're the wrong person for the job. If they say things like James Bond has gotten a little tired and all the stories have been told, they're the wrong person for the job. I'll leave you with the words of one Madeline Grant from an article I read 2 years ago that remains relevant today. We Bond fans crave seductive escapism, not a Me Too morality tale. If you like what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe. If you didn't like what you heard, I thank you for listening this long. I'll see you in the next video.
Nerdrotic.com. Please subscribe.